back with another episode of Double Barrel Shotgun with your host, Even Bryant. And today we're going to discuss the Denver Broncos and the quarterback situation and what's going on there in the Mile High City. Eve, we discussed Manning at the beginning of the year. I think we were on it before all the pundits and the broadcasters had to say, they were wondering if he was done. We thought by week 2 what we saw, it was pretty much looking like this was it. It's even happening faster than I think maybe, at least I believed it was going to happen for this season. And I thought what happened a little later in the year when it got colder and then you got a few more licks in this case over the season. But from my eyes, it looks like he's falling apart right before our eyes. And now the young buck there, Osweiler, came in, got the big win against Chicago. Funny take though, was Mick by Levitard today about him trying to draw Chicago offside. That was pretty funny. Side note.
Yeah, a little magnetism.
Yeah, he's there chirping stuff there, trying to do his best Academy Award appearance. It didn't work out. Chicago, that just looked like, really?
Yeah.
But looking around like this.
Like, who are you again?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know. So what's your thoughts, man? I mean, where's Manning's state of mind, you think, is at that point?
Well, I mean, we as you said, we said it from before. We saw it even last year during the playoff. But the minute that, and it didn't even get cold, and you started seeing this season what it was, right? So it's a sad thing because when you see great players, when they should have called it, it's a great example. So unfortunately for him, he's out right now. The young boy is playing the offense, as I just told you. He's playing the offense the way that the head coach, Kubiak, wants it. So, they do the stretch rays, they do the stretch plays, they run the ball, and that's a priority. They're not doing they're not putting him in the shotgun. So it's basically, in essence, Manning is working hard to come back. But do they need him to be back?
Well, that's my point. I would ask you, who gives them a better shot in this case in the playoffs?
Well, let's put it this way. Players are, how players are. If they know they still reverence Manning like, he's still Manning, but the fact about it is that who's giving you the best chance to win? You know what I mean? If it's a one-game thing that's going on, okay, maybe Manning might do it for you, but then at the same time, he might throw you 4 picks.
Right. Exactly.
And the league has been like this from the day one. I still think about how when Favre was around with Rodgers.
Yeah, but Favre still had a little something to tank, which was proven in Minnesota. Like Favre
that's true.
They were trying to get ahead of Favre before Favre was really ready to retire. Right. So it was that situation more like a Montana Young situation. To me,
Really, I don't know, because the fact about it is that you still saw that Rodgers was obviously ready to go.
Right, but Favre was not playing the Manning part. Favre had plenty in the tank. He won MVP after that. That's my point. It's like a little different, my friend. A little different.
Hey, man. Hey, football,
a little different.
Sometimes what those things do in football, one thing I'll say about John Elway, I'll say this as an executive, and John, you will like this, is that he cuts guys before they even know they're going to get cut.
Right, yeah. I think that's his insight as a player. He can see it coming. Correct. They may not want to think it's coming, but Father Time sitting there knocking on the shoulder, like, hello.
Yeah. And when he sees that tapping going on, he kind of like saying, okay, since we got a visitor here, you got to go.
You got to go. Out you go. Out you go. So, I mean, I just look at it as when the only game this season he's actually looked anything close to remotely how he used to look was the week he had to bye. Only week.
After all that rest.
Right.
After all that rest.
Right. That's it.
Yeah. Him and the coach probably had a little bit of a nice little talking to.
Right.
To basically say, well, I'm the coach. You know what I tell you. I'll take some of your input. Right. But I'm still the coach. Right. Basically, I think what has happened, Elway's basically, listen, first of all, Elway made this man take a pay cut. And Peyton Manning, if there's anything anybody knows, he loves his money. Now, for him to get a pay, he told the dude after he got him, a year after, Peyton, we need you to cut that salary down. We can't pay you.
Well, he's got no choice, right? Like, where's he going to go?
No, he had no choice.
Right.
Because basically, they didn't go to where they were supposed to go. So the man said, I ain't paying you the whole full freight. So what did he then do? He came up and told him, you take a pay cut. What's man going to go do? Manning's going to come and say, well, if you cut me, and then I'm going to go somewhere else. Who's going to take him? Right? And on top of that, the money that they got additional talent.
You know what? I mean, this whole situation from the time he came to Denver, we had a podcast the day in the off season discussing when he was going around town and all around the country in San Francisco practicing. And what did we say at the time? We saying, why are you picking all these teams in this case that got bad weather?
That's what I'm saying.
His best pick was Miami. If we're just going purely on just weather.
San Fran.
Well, San Francisco got the wind, so he don't want to play there. That's why he didn't want to play there. Plus, he didn't like playing the NFC.
And he didn't want to play with Harbaugh.
You know, probably that was the other thing too. You know, but I mean, if you're just looking for a climate standpoint, Miami was the best bet because Miami at least he'd be warm weather in December. If you got home games, he'd be playing warm weather in January. Right. But now he's playing out here. He's playing out. You know, he's playing here in snow and wind and everything else and rain. If you play in San Francisco, it'd be rain and fog and wind too. Mm-hmm. In late in the year, you need strong arms for that. You know, so I'm sitting there shaking my head. Like, dude, you can't play in those places. And that's the thing that's different with Favre as well, too. Up to now, Favre could blow a hole through a farm door right now if he threw a ball.
Yeah, easy.
So
instead of doing those commercials about all that stuff that he's selling.
All the Wrangler stuff.
He's selling more than Wrangler these days, guy. I'm going to probably see him doing I'm probably going to be seeing Brett Favre do a Cialis commercial pretty soon. At this rate, guy.
Hey, man, making that money,
he's working out something. He's pimping out like nothing right now.
Anyway. Yeah, we won't go down here with Cialis already, so we'll leave that alone. We'll leave that alone. That's too easy. Because
you know those picks are still out there. So.
Let's just move on. But let's move on. But right now, I think Denver's right now a rock and a hard place. I find it interesting. I think I mentioned this to you last week, or I think I talked to Ravi about on our Hoots show. Watching Kobe and Peyton is very similar situations.
Very.
And and it's kind of interesting to watch how this played out because both guys are very stubborn. They have their ways of how they do things. They're perfectionists in a lot of ways of how they do things, and it's hard to tell them there's any other way besides the way they know. And it's very interesting about how Father Time and mortality kicking in. That they just can't, you just can't make those throws anymore. You can't make those shots anymore. It's the same thing.
It's just done.
And at this point here, at some point, I mean, with Kobe's situation, the team's so bad in this case here, they might as well just play a string with him. They don't have to force him to the bench. Just let him play the string till he gets hurt again or something like that.
At a rate of $20-some-odd million.
Well, what are you gonna do? You gotta just pay it out and be done with it.
I know.
When it goes here with football now, in this case with Peyton Manning, unfortunately, they're in a position where they have home field advantage for most of the playoffs. So there's a lot riding on this. You can't just sit on the bench and say, "We'll have you in the back."
He's not a guy that likes to sit on the bench. Apparently, he's already said, "If you ain't gonna let me play."
No, well, in that sense, I can understand man's pride. And this man's been a star since time he's like 8. So why am I thinking now at 40 he's going to say, I'm good sitting the bench while I'm clipboard? That ain't happening. Dudes like that aren't wired like that. That's the reason Favre had to leave Green Bay. Them dudes are not wired like that. Okay?
They're not supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be. You didn't remember when Jeter was sitting there? Jeter's like, what? Everyone say, Jeter can't defend like he used to, or he can't grab the ground ball like he used to. You think the Yankees would dare him put the little young second baseman there? Heck no.
They ran him out, and he took the money.
Jeter took his money and plays last year. Call it a day. He got a nice house in Florida. He's straight. Yeah, but my thing is with Manning is the mortality's hitting there. They don't have any other place to go. And if you look how the teams are lined up right now, they got once again just like last year. There's no warm weather teams to survive on.
That's right.
So even if you say, okay, maybe you want to play with the weather, and say they play as a playoff team, where they're going to go and play on the road? You're begging to get the Colts again. They might not get them, depending on what happens to India. All the other teams in the AFC are all cold weather teams.
That's it.
You don't have no Dolphins or Jacksonville playing at this time of year. So what are you gonna do? You're stuck. Maybe the Raiders might help them out. Maybe they get a game in the Raiders and get into making the playoffs. That's my point, right? I mean, they got some nice wins, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. At this point, there's no way the Raiders are going to host a playoff game. So, right. So, you're looking at the teams you're going to be playing going, either you're at home, you're going to New England, you're going to Cincinnati, you're going to Pittsburgh, I keep going down the list. I mean, there's maybe KC, depending if they slip in there.
Yeah, because KC's starting to charge up now.
Right. There's no place for you to run in this case when it comes to weather, So who knows, man? Well, I don't know, man. I think Kubiak in this case has always been a bit of an overrated coach. That's the other part of this has not been talking about.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because I don't know how. I mean, you talk about having connections.
Right. That's the only way, because he's only been known for one thing, and that's being John Elway's backup.
Oh, that would be a mediocre coach in Houston.
Yeah, mediocre. Yeah, he's been
that too. I mean, that team was class at 11-5 and beat out in the first round. Like every time.
It's like fine. It's like you can just call it.
Right. So
happen.
like, why is all of a sudden you think he's gonna get the job done? I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. It's I mean, hey, man, I've never been a Manning guy. Everyone knows that, but you never like to see something like this end like this. But it's not gonna be a pretty ending when it's all said and done. You're right. This should be his last year.
Should be. It shouldn't even be a hesitation.
Yeah.
Any talk of that stuff, I think his agent is lying to him. I think he's lying to himself.
Exactly.
If that's the case, because his body right now is...
Yeah, he's just going to get himself very hurt,
He's going to get himself very hurt because these injuries are kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And already has a neck injury.
Yeah.
Now I'm hearing he has plantar fasciitis.
And this is from a guy that doesn't really take a lot of licks in his career, though.
But he's taking them lately, and that's the thing.
But true. But, like, if you judge, like, players or athletes of any sport, it's almost like a thread of a tire, right? It wears down over time, the licks you get. You would think a guy like him... I mean, his leg should be that much. Like, I mean, like, he doesn't take shots like Favre used to take.
True.
Like, he didn't take shots like Romo. Like, I mean, like that dude was barely touching the Colts, and like somehow this dude's falling apart like this. Good Lord, look! Can you imagine he took shots like Roethlisberger?
For a while, I don't know, but
I don't know. Well, who knows, man? Interesting subject came out. We'll get. Who knows? Maybe this might be a topic for another. Definitely the topic for another day. We'll get into it. Interesting. I want to pick up something I heard on the Levitard show today, sometime later on this year, and I think we kind of touched upon it earlier on this year about quarterbacks getting big contracts or mediocre quarterbacks.
We're talking about Kaepernick, huh?
Well, we're talking about just overall about what are the great quarterbacks in the game. Interesting discussion. Anyways, man, we'll leave it at that. You guys tell us.
A good discussion to talk about.
Well, yeah, we'll tell tell us your thoughts where you see things going for the Broncos this season, and Manning, is this the end for him or not, man? Anyways, man, where can the good folks find you?
They can find me at Y Charlem.
And you can always find me at Beyond Locker Room, short form RM, man. Everybody take care for our American friends, man. Eat that turkey and enjoy it, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Gobble, gobble.